Hey, what's up, everybody? One coach opinion, and just remember, it's my opinion. That's all it is. It's not a fact. I'm the producer of this show, so I don't got to do all that. So, I really feel that. Let me try again. So, what's up, everybody? One coach's opinion, and it's just that, my opinion. It's not a fact. Today, I feel, I feel I've learned something. I'm always learning, trying to learn or watching fights. And when I watch fights, I kind of watch fights to learn. I mean, they're entertaining, but I'm trying to learn as well as being entertained. So I had some amateur fights. Now, when I look at amateur fights, and say we don't get the decision, and I'm in the corner. When I'm in the corner, I'm looking at it from a coach's point of view. And when you look at a fight from a coach's point of view, you can't ignore the fact that you're going to favor your fighter when you're telling him what to do, when you're coaching, when you're looking at this. You're either going to favor him to say, yeah, keep on doing what you're doing, or you're going to favor him to say, look, stop getting hit with that. But your main focus is your fighter and how to help him win this fight. So it can sometimes cloud your judgment on what's actually going on. And I say this to say this, I had a fight yesterday, and when I walked away from the fight, I was kind of like, okay, man, I thought we got the nod. I thought my kid did better. I thought my kid controlled the pace. Wow, you know what I'm saying? I had other fights to go. I don't have time to really linger on that fight. I just thought we won the fight. I thought we made a better showing. But amateur fights are actually there for the fighters to learn. You know what I'm saying? To me, especially it shows. You learn, so when you go to these tournaments, you fight better or whatever. So you have to learn. That's the key word. So I went back and watched the tape of the fight. Even if I lose a fight, I'm gonna watch the fight. If we win the fight, I'm gonna watch the fight, and I'm gonna see what we could have done better and the mistakes we still made. So here's what you go up against as a coach. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna watch that fight maybe 5 more times just to make sure what I'm seeing and what I think is still what I'm seeing and what I think. A parent or a fan or anybody comes to see a fighter is gonna watch it that time and maybe another time. And maybe if you play it in front of everybody, he'll glance at it or she'll glance at it. But if they thought like I thought, they're gonna say, you won that fight, you won that fight. Now, so when I come back after really analyzing the fight and start nitpicking through the fight and telling him what he did, you're gonna find I go against everybody that's been patting him on the back and saying, man, you got robbed, you lost. I mean, you didn't lose, man, that kid got robbed, you did this, you did that. So it's one voice against 100 voices saying, man, they robbed you, they robbed you. When you tell a kid he got robbed, he starts to think, man, well, I did what I was supposed to do. They robbed me. What I do is I watch the fights and I look for the things the kid did wrong. And when you do this, I promise you, coaches, fans, or whoever wants to go back and watch a fight, you will also see the mistakes that might have added up to the loss or could have contributed to the loss, because that's what I want to see. I want to see, how did you see my kid lose this fight? And when I start investigating like that, it helps my coaching, because I start seeing things that probably average person would be like, so. Okay, let me give you an example. If my kid throws 3 jabs, right, and misses all 3 jabs, the other kid doesn't throw any jabs, doesn't land any jabs itself, do you look at my kid like he missed 3 jabs, or do you give the other kid credit for defense? And if he's just standing there and the jabs didn't hit him and say the palm of his hand hit it, that's still defense because he stayed out of the range of those jabs. Unless you say, well, my guy just jabs no matter what. He don't care what he hits. He just jabs. He don't aim at anything. He just jabs. So if my fighter misses 3 jabs and the kid is anywhere in range, I think you got to give that kid credit for defense. So then I started looking at how many jabs did you land versus how many jabs did you throw. And I actually didn't see not one jab solidly landed that I get him credit for, but he jabbed. So now I got to start giving the other kid credit for making him miss these jabs, even if they were just poorly thrown jabs that didn't land. You still got to give the other kid credit for the punches that you're missing, because that's what we do call defense. If you're saying, nah, them punches hit the air, he didn't even have to roll, then you're admitting you were throwing wild punches. Punches that aren't designed to hit people, and they don't even have to defend. If you're throwing a punch that a person doesn't even have to defend because it's so out of range, it's going to look like good defense on their part rather than, hey, why is this guy, can this guy see? He's throwing punches in the air. He's throwing punches where they don't belong. He's just throwing punches here. So that's what I'm saying. I started having to give the other kid credit for, like, his defense, which was still kind of defense because he's staying out of range of these punches. I started counting missed punches, and then I started really looking at how many times my guy was getting hit. Now, I felt my guy controlled the pace. I felt he threw more punches. But then when I started looking and said, how many solid punches did he land? Now, he landed some solid punches, don't get me wrong, don't think, but it's the wasted punches that contribute to the defense of the other guy. And say your guy lands 12 punches, the other guy lands 10 punches, but the other guy makes your guy miss 30 punches. Who do you think is going to look good? And the other guy doesn't throw the same 30 punches. Say when he lands his 10 punches, he threw 20 punches, landed 10. He landed 50% of his punches. Your guy throws 40 punches and lands 12. Now, some people say, okay, yeah, my guy won. 12 punches, 10 punches. You can look at it like that. Or you can look at it like the other kid successfully defended 30 punches, which added to his defense, which made his offense look better, because now I'm making this kid miss. Whoop, 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 pow. This kid his looking a little sloppier, really, when you start looking at it like this. And it's like a skillful slop. I mean, if a kid looks wild and he's ducking his head and he misses punches, you're like, oh, he looks wild. But what happens to a kid who's not ducking his head, has proper form, but is still missing these punches? He doesn't look wild, but what do you call him? Technically, he's missing the same punches that the wild kid missed. In all technicality, he's missing the same punches. So what do we say then? I mean, you got to give the other kid credit for his defense, which those 10 punches now look excellent because I made this guy miss and I landed these punches. And this is where you come in where some people don't really like Floyd. Some people do like Floyd. I've seen Floyd land on fighters before, like Baltimore is always a memorable fight, like 60-some% of his punches. That means for every 10 punches he threw, he landed 6 or better of them. That's a boxing clinic. If you really look at it, the average fighter, be lucky if he lands like 32-36% of his punches. That means every time he threw 100 punches, breaking it down for some of y'all, he landed 36. He landed 36. So he still can beat a guy, but it's not like if you're landing over 50% of your punches that you're throwing, and the other guy ain't landing what you're landing, you should really be defending somebody. So all I'm trying to say is sometimes the punches that are thrown and missed can make the other fighter look better because it's still defense. Unless your fighter's just throwing in the air, period, not trying to hit nothing. So sometimes you got to look at the mistakes that he made. But now you're going against so many people that's patting him on his back, and now he has to make a decision. And I'm not blaming any fan. You're doing what you're supposed to do. I'm just breaking it down. Now he got to make the decision of, man, did I lose this fight? Is coach tripping? Because my uncle said, man, my uncle used to box. And my uncle said, man, I won that fight. My aunt said I won it too. And everybody in my family said I won the fight. And when I left out the thing, people patted me on my back, said I won the fight. But also some people patted the other kid on the back who actually got the decision and won the fight. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of stuff you go up against as a coach, because now this kid is in his mind that he won a fight, and now he might come to Jim and say, Coach, you don't know what you're talking about. 110 people told me I won this fight. You're the only person that's saying you lost. And I'm not necessarily always saying you lost. I'm just pointing out the mistakes you made so you can always get better. I believe you should be able to learn from a win and learn from a loss. It's harder to learn from a win because you don't want to hear that. Once you win and you celebrating, and if your coach pull you to the side, oh, Monday, hey, man, I hope you had a good weekend. Man, let's talk about your fight. And he's like, yeah, let's talk about it, coach. And by the time you finish talking about the fight, he all down, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to teach a kid on a winning fight. A losing fight, you're both kind of down. You're looking, you're trying to learn, you're trying to prove. A winning fight, he don't want to hear that. He don't want to hear it. Psychologically, he is not prone to want to hear it. It's like if you're in a relationship, you're in a relationship and a person get caught cheating. Nope, from then on, you don't want to hear how the relationship was going down. You don't hear what went on in the relationship before then. All you know is this person cheated, and that's what ended your relationship. But the relationship could have been ending months ago or years ago. Same way with the boxing. Once this kid wins in a fight and everybody tells him how good he was and how good he looked and everything, you're not going to be able to tell him the mistakes he made and him really want to absorb it unless it's a special kid. Now, sometimes that's why when I watch pro fights and you watch a fight and a kid and somebody does good, like I've seen like a Shakur Stevenson do good, great in a fight, everybody's cheering for him. How you think you look? Man, I give myself a C+. That's what makes a fighter like that a champion, because he still can grade himself on a win. A C+ on a win. How many fighters you know will give themselves a C+ on a win? Even if you stop a guy, C+, man, you know, blah, blah, why? And they're like, why did you say that? Why did you say that? We thought you were looking for, you know, my time, I got hit with more shots than I should have got hit with. That's what makes a world champion, to be honest. And that's what I can respect. So when I go back and look at some of these fights, that's what I'm looking at. I'm trying to pick out your mistakes. You know, if you did a test with 100 questions and you got 3 wrong, a real scholar is going to wonder, how did I miss these 3? I have to correct these 3 questions. Anybody else is going to be like this. I got a 97. I passed. Blah, blah. Let them 3 questions. What about the 97 questions I got right? Point being, how are you going to get better if you don't never go look at them 3 questions? If you need somebody to put a C on all your correct answers, you get mad at the person that just, now I'm just going to tell you the ones you got wrong. Now you ain't going to give me credit for the ones that, yes, I am. You're getting credit. You got the 97. If you don't know how to figure that out, you got to learn to figure that out. We need to focus on the 3 questions you missed that stopped you from being 100. That's where a coach comes in. Everybody else can enjoy the 97. Everybody else can, that's like somebody saying they got a B on a test, and they say, yeah, I got a B. Who cares? Some people just aren't going to care about the 6 questions they missed, which led to this B. And that's where your coach comes in. Because guess what? You missed this 6 this time. If you add 3 more, you're going to go down to a C. And then now you're going to go to C and be like, man, you're going to be all confused because you were used to getting B's the way you got them, or maybe sometimes A's, but nobody ever taught you how to correct the 3 problems that you missed. Your 3 weaknesses. You got so many things that overshadow your weaknesses. Nobody ever taught you how to correct it. And believe me, every fighter has weaknesses. Every coach, every person has some type of weakness. It's up for you to find it. And that's what this is. I got to go and find that. And once you start looking for these mistakes, you might start looking, see how a judge might have gave another kid the fight. Or you can watch the fight 9 times out of 10 and you don't see nothing wrong with it, and you can keep telling the kid he got wrong. It can go either way. All I'm saying is if you want a kid or a person to grow, they have to know how to look at their mistakes in a win situation, in a loss situation. They have to learn how to, let's get better no matter what. And that's normally where coach comes in, and that's sometimes where people get conflicted with coaches. I mean, I just watched AJ, Anthony Joshua. This is a guy that became a world champion, beating some incredible people, Klitschko and stuff like that, with the coach. And as soon as he lost one time, he went and got a whole nother coach. Now, you could say in some cases, maybe a person needs a coach. Maybe you need a coach. Maybe your coach is outdated, but if a coach can make you a world champion and you defend your title successfully a number of times, and the time you lose, you go get another coach, you're basically saying, it wasn't me, it was him. And I got to replace him. Instead of, coach, let's look at this and find out what we need to work on, because you might have missed some stuff too. It happens on all levels. It happens on all levels. And then AJ has a temper tantrum going out the ring, as much as he's done. Many people he's beat, he has a temper tantrum going out the ring. So look, one coach's opinion, all I'm trying to say is, look at stuff closely. You might figure out the answer, because that's how I do it. And after I look at something, and I still think, my kid might have got the nod, but that's not important to me, whether or not you get the nod. The growth of the kid is important to me. So now I got to go back to this kid and say, look, this is what I saw when I watched this fight. And just always remember, every punch, and that's what I'm trying, every punch you miss, throw a miss, adds to this person's defense. So you might want to work on your accuracy in this point and stop wasting punches, because even though you're not hitting this kid, okay, let's say this. Say nobody lands nothing. Your kid throws 50 punches. This kid throws 15. Do you say, well, my kid threw 50 and he won? Or do you give, now you got, in amateur boxing, you're supposed to, if it's a fight like that and they're tied like that, then you go to the ring generalship, defense, and stuff like that. Ring generalship will probably be based on defense. And if this kid made your kid miss 50 punches and you only made this kid miss 20, they might lead it to the defensive kid who his defense was better. You won't understand it, because you'll say, man, my kid chased him all over the place. He chased him all over the place. Yeah, but this kid made your kid miss. He made him miss 38 punches. You only made my kid miss 12. I mean, I know you might not see it, some coaches will, but every punch you miss, you got to give credit to the other guy for defense. Who either blocked it, was out of range, or he rolled on, he made a miss. One coach's opinion, just something to think about. That's how I think if I'm just letting you know, that's how I judge fights. I'm trying to learn from your wins. I'm trying to learn from your losses, and I'm trying to make fighters better. And if you see any of my fighters and you say, well, let me say this, I never saw this kid get any better, then yeah, you can come to me and say what you did was wrong. Your coaching ways are wrong, because I'm not seeing your kid getting any better. And if a kid ain't really getting better, I'll be the first to admit, maybe he'd be better with somebody else, because our mixture isn't working. A coach-fighter relationship is very important. That mixture has to work. So telling somebody to go somewhere, it ain't always, hey man, you can get out of here if you don't like it. Sometimes it's like him realizing we just ain't working. I got other kids that are winning. Your kid just doesn't win. I don't know why. He's not listening to me. I don't know what's going on. But our mixture isn't working. I'm not saying your kid won't fight. He might go somewhere and be a successful fighter under somebody else. And I'll have other kids that are successful. Nobody will ever know why we couldn't get together and work together, except for I mean, just life, I guess, you know what I'm saying? It's just how it works. It's really not a bad thing. It has to mix. All coaches and all fight fighters usually have the same amount of equipment and everything else. If your problem is your training facility or your punch, but that's a whole different issue. But your coach usually has the same thing any other coach has, the same tools, pads, bags, knows how to take kids places to run, knows how to train guys. He has his way of doing things. He has his way of doing things. You know, so they normally really have the same equipment. It's just that, does it work out between them? So one coach's opinion, think about what I said. You got to look at some of those mistakes that are being made and account for those before you really make these judgment calls on some of these fights, you know. And another thing, I really, you know, when a kid's had his 8th or 9th fight, I really don't really care about the win and loss. I hope he wins. I hope he did good, but I'm not going to lose any sleep. I just want to let anybody know I'm not going to lose any sleep over a kid that loses his 8th fight, because you got a long way to go in boxing. A long way to go. And if you're losing sleep over his 8th amateur fight at a show, that's like a tongue twister. His 8th amateur fight at a show, then you got a long way to go too. If you get up and start making, hey man, let me send you this, man. I can't believe he lost his 8th fight. You got a long way to go in this sport. So one coach's opinion, man, just trying to show you how to look at fights from different views. Tell me if it's helpful or if you agree or don't agree. I mean, I'm not trying to argue. I'll listen to your opinion too, that's all I'm saying.